Conservative commentator, Lord of the Manor, Lord Benedict of Spenstone. Good afternoon, sir.
How are we? How are we all?
Oh, mate, I just have had the best afternoon. Honestly, and he's my friend. He's not, you idiot. I mean, honestly, to be fair, Blexley made a really good point. Jack made the same point. Love him or loathe him, I suspect a majority of British people, if they get past the Donald Trumps whatever he is, would say the same as this. How is he able, in an hour, to talk about the 4 or 5 things that are central to the thinking of a majority of British people that our own politicians seem incapable of addressing?
Well, for a start, he's able to do it because there are absolutely no consequences to him. He's obviously from a different country, but it's slightly unfortunate for Sir Keir Starmer that he is so brazen in his opinions and that he speaks the same language as us, so he knows exactly what's going on. He can see it all, what's going on social media, even though it turns out we can't, hilariously.
Yes, more of that coming up. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, that sort of brash, realistic talk is one of the reasons why he was elected in the first place and then re-elected again, because actually many of the concerns that British voters have are shared by American voters, which is that their political class simply isn't honest with them, doesn't say it like it is, isn't prepared to grab the nettle, so to speak, wants to avoid dealing with problems or pretend that they're not there. And, as you say, like him or loathe him, at the very least, Donald Trump does at least acknowledge when there are things that need to be spoken about, which I think, frankly, Sir Keir Starmer could learn a thing or two from him about that.
Think about the border thing. Well, say what you want about ICE. There's no illegals coming into America now. We're another 640 yesterday. I think it's quite interesting. I was quite taken with the energy thing. But basically, wins the disaster, basically. So the man that's sitting 2 feet to my right, everything to do with his GB energy is a complete flop. Surely you win elections by lowering people's energy bills. Oops, there you go. Just schooled. But even you used the word brash. I would say honest and direct.
Well, it's that directness that I think in the Anglosphere we're simply not used to. I mean, actually, even if we're honest, even Farage isn't anywhere near as direct as Trump is, because he ultimately, I think, fears something of a backlash that you get from the sort of the Harridan left, which sort of shouts and screams at you whenever you say anything that is considered ever so slightly politically incorrect, whether or not it is true. That would be a major criticism I have of Farage and of Reform, is that even they are slightly sort of hesitant about that, whereas Trump, he's been elected. He's been re-elected. There are absolutely no consequences for him saying things that are true.
But he did that during the election campaign. And my question to you is this. You can call it brash. You can say the consequences. Do you think we'll ever have a politician who doesn't give a toss about the consequences, believes so fervently in what he or she is saying that they will take all the criticism aimed at them and prove to the British people that what they believe that needs to be done is what needs to be done? That's how I see it. I'm being straight with you.
Yeah, it will happen. I don't think that politician is currently a known entity.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's anybody that you and I have ever heard of yet. But at some point, put it this way, countries can only sort of endure so much stagnation, so much humiliation before ultimately they decide they've had enough. You're going to see it in this country at some point. You're going to see it in Europe at some point. But for the time being, we are still just sort of not quite able to get over that threshold. And it's always been a thing, I'll use that word again, brash. It's always been something that Europeans, and I'd include us in that, have always slightly looked down at Americans about, is that there is that slight brashness, whether it comes to boasting, whether it comes to a sort of a superiority complex, that has always existed there in a way that it hasn't happened here. We are downstream of that culture, though, now. It's not the other way around like it used to be. It's going to happen at some point. It has to.
Yep. Just very quickly, I mean, you must have... I've got to do it again. Well, I'm not going to play it again. I'm not playing it again. Sadiq Khan. I mean, he's come back and said that he welcomes Donald Trump to London so he can see how diversity creates success. Nasty man, that mayor of yours. Bloody brilliant. Brilliant.
Again, it's the absolute taking of no prisoners, is it? He's prepared to say things that in Britain, even his adversaries might go, oh, that's a little rude, mustn't do that. Absolutely none of that at all from Donald Trump. And he does say what an awful lot of people think, ultimately. And one thing I would actually say, in Sadiq Khan's defense, he has a little bit of that needle in him that Trump has, in a way that Starmer certainly doesn't. Starmer would never be that vociferously nasty, whereas, Sadiq Khan is prepared to be nasty to his political opponents in a way that lots of politicians in this country just aren't. Ultimately, it's one of the reasons he has succeeded. Now, does he have...
Has he succeeded, though, really? No. 1 million people out of 12 million voted for him. I'd want to sort knife crime rather than make sure that everybody's got 100 pronouns, mate. I think that's why people get hacked off. I want to bring it on to something you touched upon, two really important issues. You were with me last week when we were talking about the Bell Hotel in Epping. Few areas, hot areas, sort of a signal flare, I described it as. Ministers privately saying they're worried about a summer of riots. I absolutely don't condone any form of violence, but what you said as well, there is a point where the British people are going, hold on a second, we're 18th in the queue, we're not taking this anymore. How do the government deal with this? Because big mountain pressure, they say, to shut these asylum hotels. Where do these people go? If you had an asylum centre where it was actually quite hard and wasn't such luxurious, ornate and wonderful to be in, there'd be less people coming here. I've said this for months and months and months. What are they going to do? Move them into private accommodation? Screw the rental market? What's going to happen?
I posed this question on Twitter a couple of days ago, and it's entirely possible that nobody's seen it because it's been censored. But I'll say it again anyway, which is that there are several different options, one of which, as you've just touched upon there, is building specialised detention centres, which is not going to happen because, again, British politicians are scared. They are scared that if they build special detention centres, The Guardian will say that they are concentration camps.
Who gives a toss about The Guardian? Why are politicians worried about The Guardian? 100,000 people read it, maximum.
Politicians. This is the same class of people that have run this country the last 20 or 30 years. They care about what people in their immediate circle think.
Well, you're not going to achieve anything as a politician if you're only interested in what people in your inner circle. Are you worried about upsetting people? You're not going to achieve anything, are you? God
you
alive.
And I know that. You and I know that, but they don't. They care about what their immediate circle thinks. They still live a completely rarefied existence. They don't know that people in the country are as furious as they are.
They don't know or they don't want to know. You'd have to be living in cloud cuckoo land not to know.
I think they are still wedded to the idea that what is going on, that these protests are not organic, spontaneous acts of demonstration by people worried about the safety of their women and children. I think they genuinely think that these are artificially created far-right rallies, and I bet if you were to ask them, is this caused by Russian bot farms? They'd probably go, oh yes, absolutely, Russia has a role to play. They would absolutely believe this sort of thing. They are too far through the looking glass to believe anything else, and that's why I say, ultimately, the politician that speaks the truth in this country doesn't exist yet, because there is no way you can get this class of people to give up on a worldview that they have completely...
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think there's far more common sense in this country. Let me tell you, I'll tell you and I'll tell the viewers, this is interesting. Be really well. Tune in tonight. Kev's here at 7 o'clock. Isabel Oakeshott. And tonight there's a talk exclusive. This will be amazing. They're going to show you shocking footage. And for all the people who go, oh, come on, Jez, you're being unfair. Shocking footage of the luxurious lifestyle inside migrant hotels. Things that Brits could only dream of. Designer clothes, people, yes, if you're struggling, sitting in a traffic jam right now. PlayStations. These are all taxpayer-funded asylum schemes, honestly. £5.8 million a day it's costing us as a country. We're giving out extraordinary privileges. It's shocking. It's unbelievable. It's wrong. It's with Kev O'Sullivan tonight and Isabel Oakeshott from 7 on Talk. Can I talk about something that you just touched upon a couple of times? There's going to be an elite force to crack down on people writing horrible things like you on X. Starmer has been accused of an obsession with censorship after an elite team of police officers will monitor social media posts to quell riots. Let's not get on the street or deal with any crime or stop people, let's encourage people to meet up. But no, let's just sit in a room and work out who's saying nasty things. What's wrong with... I can't do this anymore. I'm going to have to go and live somewhere else. It's ridiculous.
I'm going to have to advertise my postal address. Otherwise, how am I going to get into fights with people anymore if my social media has been clamped down?
Imagine the old days. We used to have to send a carrier pigeon, you old git. Come on. I mean, is it true?
Had a man for that.
Explain to me again, because I sound like an idiot. The Prime Minister's country thinks that if people send things online, that's worse than if you get a machete out and go into somebody's corner shop and nick their goods, yeah? Or something like that,
of course.
Yeah?
Of course.
How?
Again, Again,
How?
their worldview stems from the idea that it is feelings and that it is emotions that actually are upstream of violence happening. And if you deal with that, you'll nip the violence in the bud and it won't ever happen. That is genuinely how these people think. So they think that they are justified in clamping down on online content because they think if they just do it enough, then all the nasty far-right protesters, they'll just disappear and all of those problems, that just won't be a thing anymore. And this is, I think this was actually something that was touched upon in the FT of all places a couple of weeks ago, which is just that there's this perception from a lot of Western politicians outside of the United States, it must be said, that this is just a blip, that this isn't the normality, that this is just an irregular thing, and that in time we'll go back to the sort of the Tony Blair era, the sort of the circa 2012 Olympic opening ceremony. Everybody's nice and liberal and everything sorts of gets on, and you've got standard growth of 2%. It'll all magically come back. I think they genuinely think this. And ultimately, they are in for the shock of their lives when they keep ignoring what is happening in the rest of the world and as things keep on getting worse. If you censor people online from being able to talk about migration, from being able to talk about rape or sexual assault, if you take down videos of police officers arresting people, if you take down MPs' own speeches in the House of Commons, and there's a little box that says, "You can't see this, naughty, naughty," do you genuinely think people are going to sit there and go, "Oh, yes, this is for the safety of my kids"? No. Or are they going to go, "This is huge government overreach. How on earth could they be so stupid as to allow this to happen?" But they have. And today's big suggestion, how are they going to deal with this? They're not going to roll back on it. No, they're going to ban VPNs. They're going to ban the ways in which people actually are able to access those contents, because in Britain, all you have to do is just keep censoring.
Were you joking when you said that your tweet had been censored? Was that a joke?
That was a joke. But eventually it'll happen, I'm sure.
And so what? So there's going to be an elite force that if they don't like something that you've written in a free country with free speech, they're going to censor it?
They're going to... Why
don't I just go and live in Russia? What is happening to this country?
Supposedly this force is being set up so that they can spot anti-migrant sentiment in advance, so that they can try and work out where protests are going to happen.
Well, what about what about, why don't we work an anti-migrant sentiment force?
Yeah, this is...
Jesus God, I can't do this.
Do you remember what I said?
What?
Jeremy, do you remember what I said? When they think everything is orchestrated online, that none of it is organic, that it's all artificial. Yep. This shows that this is how they think. They don't think, where might there be a migrant hotel? Might there be an uptick in crime? And might people spontaneously turn up there? Yep. They think it's all organized online, it's Russian bots, and it's the far right, and it's being funded by, dodgy think tanks in the US. That's how they think, and that is what this is about, trying to identify protests because they think people will talk about it online before they turn up at places.
Right, I've done enough serious stuff. We're going to finish with a light-hearted story. Please feel free to ring us on 0344 499 1000 and talk about Donald Trump schooling Starmer, to talk about how many people fear that there will be riots as they don't close these migrant hotels, and how basically Starmer and his Gestapo army are going to want you to fall into line and not have an opinion on anything. But he doesn't know about this, Benedict Spencer. We're going to throw... He's a man. You're a man of the world, aren't you, Spencer? You were with me the day the Pope was inaugurated, or whatever it is. A French resort town, have you heard this story? Has introduced fines for people found to be walking around topless or in their swimsuits anywhere other than on the beach. Authorities in Les Sèvres de Long, that was obviously rubbish, it's on France's Atlantic coast, freezing cold, have announced fines of up to €150 for walking downtown with their bits out. Railing against topless women and men, the town's mayor criticised the indecent behaviour, and it's a question of respect for locals. We don't want you walking around our town half naked, you dirty English people. It'll only happen once. If you want to show off your pecs and your best swimming shorts, you can do it at the beach. There are 11 kilometres of beach. Do not do it in my town. You're not an English man. Are you somebody that would walk around a resort with your vest on or your pecs out? Or are you somebody that would wear a linen suit and a Panama to the beach before you strip off into your full wool 1930s swimming costume? What would you do?
I wouldn't even be at the resort. How gauche. I'd be on my own estate somewhere. I don't want to be mingling with other people. I have to say, I think the idea that the French might ban topless women is fundamentally very un-French, given that the image of liberty in France is literally a topless woman. I would have thought this would be something that they massively push. But men who are going topless, I think that's outrageous. I'd even ban men wearing shorts, frankly. I think it's very unbecoming.
I don't like the men that wear those T-shirts that are cut off at the sleeve. They're appalling. But I would say the irony of this story is the French want to ban you from going topless. but not migrants. It's extraordinary, isn't it? It's absolutely extraordinary. We will ban all the men with their booby wooby looby dooby scoobies out, but not the migrants. They can come and go and do whatever.
But did you hear the story that was doing the rounds earlier today, which was that in Spain, some Spanish town, I think it might have been Mallorca, they've had massive protests against British tourists.
Yeah.
And so all the British tourists have left. And now they're not making any money. So they've said, the mayor of the town said, actually, please come back.
Well, I'll tell you how right you are. Years ago, I did a documentary on the Strip in Magaluf. I got pepper sprayed. It was on the front of every newspaper. People were cheering from the rooftops. But anyway, this is true. And I found out there are 4 Balearic Islands, right? And the Strip in Magaluf, which is 1.25 miles long, this was 10 years ago, accounted for 27% of the tourist turnover for the 4 islands combined. That's why, so when they jump up and down, you're dead right. And go, we don't want you bloody Brits yet. I'm doing French again, it's Mallorcan, I don't know. Anyway, anyway, there we go. So you're off to your estate on the Riviera. You will sunbathe topless if that's what you so desire.
I will be in Cannes later this summer, and maybe I will try my luck and go topless. Who knows?
I had a club sandwich in Cannes once. I had a club sandwich in Cannes once, and it was £37.50. I've never forgotten it. Lump of cheese, a bit of tomato.
A discount sandwich.
Yes, thank you. Lovely to have you on. I'm off on holiday. Are you upset or are you happy about that?
Where are you going on holiday?
I'm not telling you, am I? I'm going to the French Riviera to get my boobs out. Have a nice time. See you later. Thank you so much indeed. Benedict Spence on Talk Drive. You want to